Hey, man. Did you touch my drum set?
Nope.
It's just weird, because seems like someone definitely touched my drum set.
Yeah, that is weird. Because I didn't touch them.
Hey! Did you touch my drum set?
Hey, knock it off!
I know you touched my drumstick, because the left one has a chip in it.
You fucking crazy, man. You sound insane. Do you realize that? You should be medicated.
Fuck you, Brennan. I know you touched my drum set, and I want to hear that dirty little mouth admit it.
You get out of my face, or I'm gonna roundhouse your ass.
You swear on your mom's life that you didn't touch it then.
I don't have to swear to shit!
That's because you fucking touched my drum set, because I know cops doesn't start till 4. Where are you going?
I'm going upstairs. Because I'm gonna put my nutsack on your drum set. Okay?
If you do that, I am warning you right now, if you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife.
It's episode 21.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Hey everybody, this is Ego and Vice, episode 21. My name is Mike. I'm your host as always. On this episode, I'm going to kind of get right into this because I don't have a lot to say. You know, usually I yammer on about the shit that I'm doing, but I ain't got much to talk about today. So we'll get right into it. This is part 2 of my interview with my good friend Jason Watts, local musician, real renaissance man. If you want to go back to episode 20 and check out a little bit more history on Jay. He talks about his early days. He talks about coming up in the music business or music scene. What the fuck am I talking about? And you know, we cover a lot of stuff. Mine and Jay's history musically in the local scene kind of coincides a lot because we've played in a lot of bands together over the years. We've made a lot of music together, had a lot of good times. So, like I said, you can call it an interview, you can call it a conversation, but it is still really interesting to listen to Jay's story, his side of the story, where he came from, where he's going, and what he's doing now, which is a lot of stuff. And he is actually one of the, well, not one of the only people, but one of the people in the world that is actually making a living doing what he loves. And it all centers around music. So it's a pretty cool thing. Before I get into part 2, I am going to play a song from a band called Area Resident. It is from the mind of our friend Doug Hempstead, who will actually play into some of the story of part 2. So this is kind of some, foreshadowing to something. It's a small part, but you know, Doug is an awesome musician. He's an absolute mad scientist, and he, in the last year, I believe, he released 2 records under the handle of Area Resident. I think there's one that was called self-titled, just Area Resident. Then he released a second one called Delano. I'm gonna play the title track off the second one, Delano. You can find Area Resident simply as simple as going to arearesident.bandcamp.com. After this song plays, we're coming back with part 2 of the interview with my pal Jason Watts. So off the self-titled Area Resident record, Delano, this is the title track. This track is called Delano. So you said you took some time off, but then we decided to get together.
Yeah, you called me up and you were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, man, great to hear from you." Nothing. What are you doing? He's like, you. You're like, nothing. And then, you want to jam? Sure. So we got together and started jamming some songs, and all of a sudden we kind of have another band going somehow.
Yeah, I had, like I said, after our mistake broke up, I didn't kind of stop. I was kind of still chomping at the bit because I was still in kind of like, I'm in a band mode, and I figured it'd be easy just to throw something back together.
Yeah.
And of course, like I was writing songs. I had all these songs on deck, and I called you up because, boy, man, like you said, we're both not doing
Lots of
something.
history.
So we went back.
We didn't hate each other.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We went back down into Eric's basement,
Eric Worley,
the same place that we jammed with our
the
mistake.
legend,
Yeah.
legend.
Who's been on the show.
Yeah. Love Eric.
Yeah, he's the best. And we started a project playing some kind of different rock songs, a little different style for me to write.
Yeah.
A little different sort of from the Our Mistake stuff. And we called the band Heroes Offer Her.
Heroes Offer Her.
Which was taken from a Bad Religion lyric.
Yeah. Although he sounded nothing like Bad Religion.
Nothing. I think we tried out a couple names, and that was just like, let's just do that. Okay, fine.
Space Helmet or something stupid.
Yeah, and we recorded like a little EP, and what were you talking about? What did we do? We did.
So I mean, we were together for maybe about a year. I remember recording an EP, and I think the sole purpose of recording that EP was to enter into the Big Money Shot. One of the sort of
You're right. Yeah.
yeah, one of the problems, quote unquote, that Our Mistake had is that we were not allowed to enter the Big Money Shot because Brian was one of the one of the people inside that kind of helped create it, and
It was a conflict of interest.
yeah. So if Brian were to enter the contest, it'd be a conflict of interest, and so we were never allowed to enter it. So this, when we had the opportunity to enter this Big Money Shot, which was an amazing opportunity for local bands, it was the first time where like a quote unquote radio contest actually had some weight to it. So we threw together a little EP, recorded it at Brian's studio at the time out in New Orleans, and
His pre-studio, that was back in the early days.
that was like we were, I think, his guinea pigs. I think we were his first, kick at the can.
or one of the first anyway.
One of the first, anyway. So then, what do we do? We had the Big Money Shot gig. I don't think we advanced.
No.
So we played it. We had some fun. I think that gig was with Grant McIntyre.
Yeah, it was the one and only gig with Grant. Yeah.
Yeah, the one and only gig with Grant McIntyre, a bass player, who I have a bit more history with. We'll get into in a bit. And then another show that I remember that we played was this White Ribbon campaign event being held at Barrymore's. So the White Ribbon campaign is a campaign to condone violence against women, which is something that everybody should really be supportive of, because there's no reason why there should ever be any violence against women. But so we supported, and we were like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And Alan Frew, the legend, the Canadian rock icon,
Glass Tiger, baby.
lead singer of Glass Tiger, was like the headliner.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we were asked to be on the bill, and that our new bass player, I don't know.
We recruited Mr. Doug Hempstead,
Dougie.
from Area Resident fame.
Doug Hempstead.
A longtime local musician, journalist, writer, TV journalist, I guess. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your titles properly, but yeah. So I knew him through my ex-wife at the time, and we said, "Hey, man, we have this thing. Do you want to play bass for us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess." But he did, and he played, and we
he
played.
just fell into it.
Yeah, Doug's a fucking great guy. He's a fucking amazing musician.
Yeah.
Super good dude, and he was our bass player. He was the bass player in Heroes Offer Her for a cup of coffee. Like he was
Pretty
there
much.
for a month or a couple of months or something like that.
So he ended up playing that show. I remember we were practicing for it in Eric's basement, and at the time, I for some reason I remember that he had bought like a smart car. It was like a diesel smart car, and hearing him talk about like how much gas he used on a drive he did to Chicago or something. He used like one tank of gas, It was just amazing. But anyway,
I digress.
I digress. So we were practicing, and then like I think the week before the show, he ended up grenading his knee somehow.
Yeah, he tore his meniscus.
He did like a triple sow cow on the ice or something, and just like whoop out his knee. And so the show, he can't stand, but he can't sit because he's got this like exoskeleton RoboCop looking knee brace that's like keeps his leg completely straight. So he had to like put one butt cheek on a bar stool and try and play, kind of hobbling around, playing bass in front of Alan Frew on the Barrymore stage. It was a grand memory. He killed it though. He slayed it. He was awesome.
Well, Doug's a seasoned dude. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Playing my shitty songs. They're not hard to follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There may or may not be 4 chords.
Yeah. But that pretty much wrapped up the Heroes Offer her because I don't remember much after that.
Yeah. No. After that show, it just kind of fizzled out. I don't really like. It's not as though. Ohio and I sat down and had a conversation where we're like, you know what? At least I don't remember.
I think we did have a conversation. I vaguely remember having a phone conversation, just being like, let's just take some time and kind of do our thing and whatever. And then it was just left at that.
Yeah, just kind of a pause, and then just play never got pushed again.
Yeah, like it was a fun project, but I always called it. I honestly still to this day I called it the rebound band.
It was the rebound
where you have a girlfriend for a long time and then you guys break up and it's like but you're still kind of got the juices flowing, so you just go out and find some new partner.
Oh, yeah.
Yay, now I have a new girlfriend, but that doesn't last very long. But it's fun while it lasts because it's new and it's exciting and it's different.
Yeah, I have been there.
So Heroes Offer her was kind of like the rebound band, but. This is where my story kind of ends for a while.
Yeah.
And this is where Jay's very interesting story starts. Like, well, you did a lot after that.
Yeah. So, my goodness. Where to go? So, we stopped the Heroes Offer her thing, put it on pause for a bit. I took a bit of a break. Just wanted to kind of relax for a while. Being in a band's a lot of work. And so I just took some time, chilled out, enjoyed some barbecues. And then... I don't know, 6 months, 4 months later, I don't remember how long, not that long later, I get a phone call from Grant McIntyre, the once former bass player, the first bass player for Heroes Offer her. He gives me a call and he's like, hey dude, what are you up to? You playing these days? And I'm like, no, I'm on a bit of a break. What's up? And he's like, I'm starting a cover band with a buddy of mine from high school. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, do you have time? Would you want to come out? And I was like, yeah, I'm not looking for anything too serious. I'm enjoying some freedom. I've been tied down to bands for a long time. So, yeah, I'll do something casual. And he's like, okay, well, my buddy Matt just got back from a tour in Afghanistan. And I was like, holy shit, okay. I had never met a modern veteran. Whenever I had heard the term veteran, I'd always have images of these like super old dudes sitting down in wheelchairs at the Remembrance Day ceremonies wearing just like a dozen medals on their chest. So the idea of like a young veteran just kind of, I don't know, kind of threw me on my head for a bit. But I was very interested. I was like, yeah, sure, let's get together. So a couple weeks go by, and I end up going over to Grant's place in Orleans and go down into the basement. I'm hauling in my drum set. And as I'm hauling in my drum set, Matt is sitting there. I'd never met the guy before this. He's sitting there, he gets up, super polite. Hey, nice to meet you. And Grant McIntyre was watching Saving Private Ryan on this like giant big screen TV with the full surround sound, cannons blowing up and bullet fire like whizzing past you, and like the 7-point Dolby sound. And as I'm bringing my drums in and out, and Ryan is helping me, or Grant, is helping me. Ryan is Grant's twin brother. Grant is helping me. And as I remember, we go outside one time, and Matt was still downstairs, like tuning or stringing his guitar. And I go to Grant. I'm like, dude, should you be playing this? Like, should you be playing this movie? Grant's a vet. Like, isn't he going to launch into, isn't this going to affect him? Like, come on, shouldn't we be watching tranquil things? And anyway, he's like, oh, no, it's fine. Matt doesn't care. He's cool. It doesn't bother him. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, we start playing, get the drums set up, and I forget what the first songs are that we started playing. They're all covers. And then just for fun, Matt pulls out, Matt's got a great singing voice, so I was instantly just sort of impressed.
And this is Matt Luloff. Who's been on the show.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, lead singer for Hearts and Minds.
Yes.
As soon as I heard Matt sing, I think we did like a Matthew Good cover, because that's one of Matt's biggest influences. And, we did that, a couple other tracks. And then just for fun, I was like, do you have any original stuff? Because he had mentioned that he did a bunch of songwriting when he was overseas. So he pulls out a song. I think the very first song we ever played together was a song called Sick. He wrote that song, or at least he was inspired by that song while he was, ducked and covered during a gunfight in Afghanistan back when he served in 2008. And so it's a pretty heavy song when you kind of get to know what's behind the lyrics. And he played it, and I was just blown away. And it was in that moment that my passion for music was kind of relaunched in terms of like finding an original project.
And what year was this around?
2009. It would have been like September-ish, 2009, I think. Anyway, so I was like, dude, your original music is crazy. Your voice is amazing. Your songs are awesome. I think this is great. Grant was a phenomenal bass player. And so at the time, it was just the three of us. And then shortly after, we found a lead guitar player named Josh Drazilov. What a great rock and roll last name. Mm-hmm. Josh Drazilov. Anyway, so we were searching for band names, and did you know what Hearts and Minds' original band name was? This is when we were a cover band, and only a cover band. It's really dumb.
I was going to say something. I can't think of it. No, I don't, actually.
We were, ladies and gentlemen, known, the best name we could come up with at the time was Doppelganger.
Oh, I think I did hear that down the line somewhere.
We played one show under that title, Doppelganger. I think our first show ever was at Broadway Bar and Grill in Orleans. We played to a packed house. It was bananas in there that night. Full band inside like a restaurant pub. It was a little obnoxious, but
that's actually a good band name for a cover band.
Doppelganger.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, that's why we picked it, because we were like, we're kind of like a twin.
Yeah, okay.
Trying to be.
So where did Hearts and Minds come from? Obviously, it's a play off Hearts and Hearts and Minds.
Yes.
Wait, fucking Hearts and Minds.
Yes, it's the idea of kind of winning over the hearts and minds with a D of the people. But the play on words, hearts and minds, is
based off Matt's history, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
The mine is like a land mine, so it's hearts and minds. It can be a little hard to roll off the tongue, but with Matt's history, military history, having to go overseas to Afghanistan, fight for his country, try and fight for their country, try and help, in any way that he can, right whatever wrongs were happening over there. I honestly don't know, all the gritty details of everything that he experienced, but I know that he had to do some very heavy stuff.
Yeah, well.
And, that's his story to tell.
That's Matt's story to tell, yeah.
Exactly. But in so doing, he got to see the world through a different lens. And that different lens is what kind of ignites his songwriting. Mm-hmm. And then when he came back from Afghanistan, started the band, put himself through university, graduated with a degree in like political science and a handful of other things that are very intellectual. He's an incredibly smart guy.
Yep.
And now he's working down on Parliament Hill, trying to change the world, not only through sort of the romanticism of music, but also by trying to influence policy writing on a federal government level, which I think is very noble and really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what was like the first, okay, so there's four of you in Hearts and Minds, and you guys have had some success, like once the band was kind of established, but you had different people. What did you do? Like, what happened to Josh and what happened to Grant? Like,
sure.
It's always been you and Matt.
Yeah, Matt and I are the only two sort of original founding members that have stayed constant. At first we had Matt and I and Grant, and then we found Josh. Matt picked him up at a bar, as odd as that sounds. Ooh. But anyway, then we had Josh, and Josh was this like sick lead guitar player, like just so much sort of style and swagger to his playing. It was amazing. Uh-huh. But then he had to back out, a year. I don't remember the exact timeline, but maybe a year or so into it, he had to back out because he had illness in his family, and he had to move away to go take care of a sick relative in his family. Very noble reason to have to leave. We were very sad to see him go, but obviously supported his decision to do that.
buddy. So
Yeah. So he had to leave. So he had a bit of a void to fill. So we opened it up on the internet, and I think we ended up finding this guy Ryan.
This is like you guys have had like a revolving door of players. So all the credit to you to keep it, to have it keep going.
Yeah, it's been a little bit crazy. So we found this lead guitar guy named Ryan, who stepped in, and he was like a hardcore metalhead, like
God bless him.
like mathcore, like just this really hardcore guitar riff driven. Anyway, just it's beyond me. Like I don't get that genre.
Nerd.
Yeah. So he answered the ad, and he's like, "Hey, I know you guys aren't metal, but I'm interested." So he came out and auditioned, and naturally his chops were fantastic. And we told him straight up, we're like, "Listen, dude, we're never going to be a metal band ever. So if you want in, you need to be cool knowing that we are never going to sort of morph into a metal band." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, cool, sounds good. If I need to play metal, I'll go join a metal band as a side project, and this will be my other thing."
That's fair.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely. You can wear multiple hats as a musician.
Absolutely. Lay it on the line right off the bat, so
Yeah.
he just doesn't have any false expectations.
Absolutely. So he joined the band. He added a few metal-y-ish sounding licks into some of our songs that we still use today. And he added a really interesting texture and stage presence to the show. And we really enjoyed having him, but then I don't know, 6 months later, he
It wasn't metal enough.
wasn't metal enough. So 6 months later, he's like, "Yeah, guys, I need to go play metal." So
I can relate. Actually, it's kind of funny, but we'll get to that.
I'm gonna go play metal now, guys. I'm really sorry. We're like, fudge. So he left, and now this is where it gets a little bit hazy for me, to be honest with you. But it was no. Okay, here we go. I just sorted it out. Yeah. Rob Hanlon, the current bass player of Hearts and Minds, he entered the band during the Ryan period. So Grant, unfortunately, didn't work out. We had to go our separate ways. Life, yada yada yada. Anyway, so we had to part ways with Grant. So we were without a bass player for a bit, and we found Rob Hanlon. So he joined the band, and similar to how
did you find Rob? This is my curiosity.
I think Matt picked him up at a bar. I believe it was at the Rainbow.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. He played. Rob played in
That makes sense.
Rob played in like a bluegrass band, which is in stark contrast to the rock that we play. But he played in like a bluegrass band. I think met him. What?
What I understand what you said.
Yeah, perfect. I think Matt met him at the Rainbow, and then brought him over.
Sorry,
it's all good. Yeah. So he came over and jammed with us. Rob did, and he was great. So that was awesome. And then him, similar to you and Adam, in Our Mistake, Rob and Ryan didn't get along.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes that happens, man.
They were like piss and vinegar. They just didn't. They couldn't. I don't know what it was, and it was weird because they were both new. Like Ryan had been there longer, I think, but they were both new.
Yeah, that's weird.
So anyway,
well, maybe it had nothing to do with the band. It was just personality clash.
Yeah,
it wouldn't matter if they were at in some other thing. They just would. Some people just don't like each other. They don't get along. So that's the way she goes.
Absolutely. So anyway, that's the way that went. And then when Ryan left, we put out an ad for another lead guitar player, and this keyboardist took a risk and answered the ad, and his name was Mikael, and he is the current and still
lead guitar player,
lead guitar keyboardist, pianist of Hearts and Minds. So yeah.
And okay, now this band is this lineup is in place. That's a very interesting history because I didn't know a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about the Big Money Shot and things when things started picking up because you guys entered the Big Money Shot again as this band.
Yeah.
And you guys had a ton of success.
Yeah, we did pretty well. Not at first. We did okay at first. We entered it 2 years in a row. The first year, I think we ended up winning $5,000. There was multiple stages to this contest, and as I said, back in episode 1 of this 2-part series.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Thank you. They were a great support. The Big Money Shot Live 885 family.
Lots of money got thrown around back then.
Absolutely. It was just such a phenomenal time to be a musician in a band in Ottawa. So the first Big Money Shot we entered, we were one of the like wild card finalists, I think. It was one of those things where you could like get people to text in and vote for like your wild card position. And anyway, so we ended up squeaking out a win, getting $5,000 in talent development money. Which basically means instead of them just cutting you a check so that you can just go blow it all on drugs and hookers or whatever, they release it to you. You could basically go sit down and you're like, I want to go film a music video in Jamaica, and then the board will be like, nah, you're not going to film a video in Jamaica. You're going to film a video in Toronto in front of a green screen, and they'll make it look like Jamaica. And here's the phone number for the video guy. Here's a phone number for a stylist, and they help kind of guide you from your ideas of grandeur to kind of put it back down to the real world, which
Sure.
I think was great.
Yeah.
So we got $5,000, which was lovely, and all that was good. And then we entered the next year, which was the year that we had a lot of success. We ended up coming second overall,
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah, it was great. And
Because there's a deep talent pool in Ottawa.
there really is.
Ottawa is an amazing music scene. And to come second in something that big with so many important bands or so many great bands is an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah. That was
But you hit the nest egg on that one, sort of.
Yeah, a little bit of a nest egg. I mean, it wasn't a kick in the pants. We
Yeah.
ended up taking home $40,000.
40 fucking G's. Jesus Christ.
$40,000 in talent development money.
Yeah, that's craziness.
It's funny. One of Mick's first shows was
Oh.
one of those Big Money Shot gigs. Yeah,
Where-
and like Mick before Hearts and Minds, he had never played with a band. Like he'd never played a rock show before. He's like a classically trained piano player, and he'd never played anything rock and rolly. So it was just such a trial by fire for him.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and you know,
Welcome to the big time, kids. See?
he did great. It wasn't the like final show because with this whole program, you know, we had to submit like a few tunes, and then we had to submit a business plan. There's like different stages to the program. It's not just a popularity contest, which is part of the reasons why I think it was such a genius program, because it forced bands to really think about the business side of things a little bit. Like, where are you going to be in 2 years from now? Where are you going to be in 5 years from now? You know, put some forward thought into it. And how are you going to get there? What are the steps? Don't just say, oh, I'm going to be famous. You know, it's like, how are you going to get there?
Okay.
So they made us put a little bit of thought into it and work.
So what'd you come up and what'd you spend the money on?
Oh, we filmed a professional looking music video.
Uh-huh.
We got a whole bunch of merch done, a bunch of different T-shirts and like buttons and stickers and all that kind of stuff. We bought a mini school bus, a blue school bus.
Oh, that fucking thing, yeah.
Yeah, that thing was great. It was a pig on gas, but it was such a great time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the after party, whenever we were out on the road touring or whatever, was always in the bus. We'd grab like a few of the diehard drunkies that were at the front of the stage all night from like Kingston or whatever, and just go back to the bus and party in there for the rest of the night in the parking lot.
This bus smells like booze and farts.
Yeah, a little bit. It had a little bit of ode de bonjour.
So was there any touring that went with that? Like, no, because after you win 88.5, they kind of coach you along to...
Yeah, we did. We did some up and down the 401, Toronto and Guelph, and oh goodness, we went on like a week-long tour with the Big Money Shot. Where did we go? We definitely did Kingston. We finished in Toronto. We did maybe Guelph. What was the furthest place we went? Anyway, it's a bit of a haze. It was a little bit of a drunken debauchery of a trip, but we did basically five shows in 7 days on an Ontario tour, basically all over Ontario. And that was before we had the bus, so it was just in a minivan. Rob Hanlon's white family van,
The Astro van.
the Astro van, indeed. So yeah, that was a good time. And with the school bus, up and down the 401 basically was our main ticket, just playing
Cool.
all over the 401.
All right, from that era, let's play something from Hearts and Minds.
All right. From that era. So, goodness, let me think here. What do I want to hear? That's probably what you're asking me, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's your show.
It's my show. Hearts and Minds, early days. Well, I talked about it earlier. Let's hear Sick.
Okay.
Let's hear Sick.
This is a song called Sick from Hearts and Minds.
We're completely surrounded and being engaged from all sides. This had the potential to go from bad to worse, so I picked my targets carefully to conserve ammunition.
I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it's been so goddamn long since I felt inspired. Never know what it's gonna take. You never know when you're gonna break down. Always thought beside you was my place, but then I found you lying face down. Face down.
So that was Sick by Hearts and Minds.
It was.
Yes. So once the Hearts and Minds, the Big Money Shot stuff was kind of in your rear view,
Yeah.
and you kept pushing forward, what went down?
Well, when you come off of a big win like that, and you find yourself with this big windfall, you don't want to waste it. So we tried to be as methodical and intentional with our spending of that money, So as I said, we definitely did some merch and got ourselves a little tour bus, and I think each of us went out and got a little bit of equipment, some newer kind of high-end equipment that we may not have been able to afford before, to set us up for success going forward.
Right.
Yeah. And then anyway, just rocking out, playing some shows, doing 401 tours, Ontario, Montreal, wherever, anywhere that'll let us play.
And I think maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I think this is where our paths crossed again musically.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Why? Yes, it is.
Why? There you go. Transition. So we were playing this gig at Mavericks. Hearts and Minds was playing a show at Mavericks. I don't remember what it was for. It's just, a regular gig from the best that I can recall.
Mm-hmm.
And you had said, hey, I'm going to come by. Yeah, I think you might have had a show that night, or you were at another show for the first part of it.
I was hanging out with Eric at Ritual, but
That's it.
To set this up, I've told this story before, so I'm not going to beat the shit out of it. But I always followed Hearts and Minds because I was happy for you, like because you were doing so well.
Yeah, you were a great support.
Yeah, and when you guys were playing at Mavericks, I knew you were there. I was downtown so I was going to come by and just check you guys out. But I got myself drunk.
Sure did.
And I watched you guys play, and just in a nutshell, I went up to Matt afterwards and I said, do you want to jam? And he's like, okay.
That's pretty much it.
So I don't know if you have a different take on that story, but that's the way I remember it.
No.
Jay probably went, oh, for fuck's sakes, this guy again. Got to be fucking kidding me.
He's like a dryer sheet that just won't fucking let go. No, we played the gig, and then, you were a little bit sauced, I guess.
Not me.
No. And, you had a conversation with Matt, and you're like, hey, I think you guys are great. If you ever want to add another guitar to your mix, I'm down to jam. And Matt knew you through me and knew our history. So, I told him, yeah, absolutely, I'd be down. So then I think like the next week, boom, you were there.
Yeah, Matt was like, yeah, that sounds okay. How's Wednesday sound?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then there it was. Then Ohio was in Hearts and Minds.
I think I told this story too to Matt when he was in, and we had the same conversation about this thing, and I almost bailed on it too. Like I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And then it was like Sunday morning. I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday you guys played, and I had like 3 days to kind of like think about it.
Yeah.
And there was a couple times where I almost called and went, yeah, you know what, man, probably not a good idea. I'm not going to do it.
Well,
but
because you were looking to jump in, and you weren't looking to step on any toes. You didn't want to sing. You didn't want to like take over songwriting. You weren't looking to reinvent Our Mistake. You just kind of wanted to come out and play guitar.
I was about 2.5 years into Goat at this point too, so I had a band.
Right.
So it's not like I had nothing to do. It was just but I said, it could be fun.
Absolutely.
So I came out and jammed, and then I just kind of stayed and kept jamming, and
yeah, it worked. It added a certain like thickness, and it filled out the sound to have that extra guitar hammering away in the background. It was awesome.
It was refreshing to me to be in Hearts and Minds, because in the first like bunch of years it was nice, because with Goat I carry a lot of weight on my shoulders, like with the band, the booking and the marketing and the networking and basically everything that is Goat it's
a lot of work.
It's on my shoulders, right? So when I joined Hearts and Minds, and it was just like, you guys just tell me what to play.
Yep.
I'll show up, I'll play my guitar, and then I'll go home.
Yep.
So it was nice because I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't have to worry about any of the business side of it. I could just go and play. I didn't have to sing.
Yeah.
I could just, play my guitar. And I had a great time. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second gig I played with you guys was because you guys played blues. You guys got into Blues Fest.
Yep.
Second gig I played with Hearts and Minds was on the Blues Fest stage.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Which was just like, well, this is kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, not to take anything away from Hope. Hope was beautiful, but having the opportunity to play Blues Fest is like the other, big deal in Ottawa as a musician is to get onto that ticket. Because like they give you like an air conditioned trailer
With fruit.
with like a basket full of fruit and like gum.
Your name's on the door.
Your name's on the door. It's a really, really nice place. They definitely know how to take care of you. They had like roadies that would come to your car and grab all your gear and like set it up for you and stuff. They had like stage techs that were tuning your drums, and it was phenomenal. Felt like a rock star for a minute there. Wanted to ask somebody for like a bowl full of only green M&Ms and just see what happened.
Just see what happens.
Yeah, but anyway, that was a great show. That what we get to put on our resumes that we opened up for Wu-Tang.
There it is.
There it is, Wu-Tang. Yeah,
That's an odd opening.
I mean,
act
they
for
played
Wu-Tang, isn't
they
it?
played like 6 hours later, but technically we were playing on the same day, so
No.
we opened for Wu-Tang.
Right.
That's a glorious moment for me, being like an old school hip hop guy.
Uh-huh.
It was pretty great.
Yeah, that's cool. I left that show. Played Blues Fest, then I left, and I went straight to the Air Canada Center or the Canadian Tire Center and saw Paul McCartney.
You did,
That was a shame. I didn't want to leave, but I really wanted to see Paul McCartney.
of course.
And so yeah, we had I don't know. I was in the band for. It would have been 5 years this spring.
That's just wild to me.
Yeah, it's crazy how time goes.
It
how
feels
fast
like
it goes.
was only like a couple of years. Like, in no disrespect or anything, but it just kind of always felt like you were there. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a time that you weren't. So it's just so strange to like think about. Hearts and Minds has been around since 2009 or 2018. It's almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I had a great time in the band. It's a great dynamic in Hearts and Minds. It's really good guys, and we played a lot of great shows. We had a lot of great Rainbow shows. I think we did some out at some Montreal. We went to Montreal a couple times, I believe.
Yep.
And it was awesome. I had a great time, and I appreciated like the friendships I made outside of you. It was great to play with you again.
Yeah.
It was great to get to know Matt and Rob and Mick, but not to make this about me, but I ended up leaving Hearts and Minds a few months ago.
Yep.
If we're telling kind of your Hearts and Minds story, I guess you might want to hear this part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I have no hard feelings to the guys. Like on my end, it was just it got to a point like I had touched on earlier where it was like when I first joined the band, it was great just being free to kind of just play the guitar and not have to worry about stuff. And then near the end, it was kind of like I'm kind of getting older, and I was so busy during the week with because I was in 3 bands at the time, and then I started the podcast, and I still work full time, and it was getting to a point where I wanted to just condense my life.
It's a lot for a young man
Yeah.
of 20.
I wanted to kind of condense my life and do the things that I was in control of and the things that I can, you know what I mean? And after 5 years, it's just I wasn't going to just start bringing in songs to the band, nor did I really want to at that point, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
I figured it was just like the reason I was kind of hanging on near the end there was because I didn't want to break up the friendship because I liked seeing you guys every couple of weeks or whenever we jammed, or I liked playing the shows. But I knew I wasn't doing you any favors. I wasn't doing myself any favors, just kind of mailing it in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to be honest about it. I had to look inward and just say, look, I have to kind of condense this down. And as much as a shame it will be, but I basically just said, look, I have to leave the band. And I figured you guys were awesome before I joined the band. You guys are going to be awesome after I got out of the band. And I don't really think you really needed me in the band musically because I didn't really do that much.
You did more than you know. But
don't know,
the sort of poetic revolving door just continues.
Yeah, that's it.
You know? So yeah, it's different. We had a show, first show without you, a couple weeks back, and it was different. But we were once a 4-piece, and we find ourselves as a 4-piece again, and we wish Ohio all the best. There's no hard feelings, no animosity at all. We're all getting up there in years now. We've both been doing this for a minute, and
No.
I get tired sometimes too, and I'm very active musically and in many other corners of my life. So I feel you. When you got all that going on, you're burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
You just got to kind of start finding the things that really that really matter and just focusing in on those.
Yeah, I just want to kind of have 100% control over the things I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I want to focus my energy on stuff that I can, put my best foot forward in. And it got to a point where it was just like, I'm not doing these guys any favors right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like I knew that you guys would thrive without my presence there and everything. But I look back fondly on it, and I thank you guys more than anything just for the experience. But look at us, we're sitting here as we always did after our mistake, after Heroes Off for her, after Hearts and Minds. And I hope I can stay in contact with Matt because I consider him a good friend, and Rob and Mick. You know what I mean? But if I don't see everyone like on a regular basis, I guess it just has to do with just putting the effort in on trying to say hello every once in a while, and that's what comes on my part as well.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do that. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, the music community in Ottawa, as deep as it is in terms of having all of these different acts that are just phenomenal and having all these different genres and stuff, the music community itself is small. So you're always going to be crossing paths with people that you've worked with before or that you want to work with in the future. And, our paths will continue to cross. I mean, we're going to be in about 7 more projects together before we end up croaking, I'm sure.
Oh, Christ. It better happen within the next 4 years then. Because I'm fucking fading, bud.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
So, to wrap up the Hearts and Minds thing, where are you guys going? Like, now that you guys I'm kind of on the outside of the bubble, don't have a clue. What are you guys doing?
Well, yeah, since you left, we want to see how we can kind of change directions. Whenever there's a big change in a band.
Now that Mike's gone, let's be less shitty.
Whenever something big happens and you need to change directions, you want to try and challenge yourself musically. Because if you're just always playing the same songs, like there's one song that Hearts and Minds plays. It's a song called "But I Won't." It's a great song that Matt wrote, but we're all sick of playing it because it was one of the first songs we started playing together. I think it came second after "Sick." And we're all sick of playing it, but our fans love it, so we got to play it. I'm sure that every big rock band that has a long career, they're sick and tired of playing their first couple of big hits for sure. But you just got to do it. Instead of playing the same tracks all the time, you got to keep it musically interesting. So Matt recently finished building a lovely little studio in his basement, lovely little studio, which is our new rehearsal space. Finally got them out of my basement. And
Stinky bastards.
So we're over there and we're just looking at doing some writing. We have the opportunity to kind of record as we write, which we've never had that opportunity before. I've never been able to do that before.
That's cool.
So rather than kind of write a song and record it on like a voice memo on your phone so you don't forget what the hell you did when you come back the next week and you're like, oh, you remember that track we worked on last week? Now we can like plug in all the mics and just record it like legit right away. Yeah. It should be pretty interesting. So we're going to basically immediately start writing our next record. And we've already kind of started jamming a couple of ideas. It might take us 6 months. It might take us 3 years. We're not in any rush. We're just going to keep doing our thing. We played at Babylon last week, I think. We were opening up for Ryan McIntyre's Cast and Cadence. He was having an EP release party.
Great local band. Check them out.
Yep, Cast and Cadence. And then I think our next Hearts and Minds gig is St. Patrick's Day at the Rainbow in support of Mayo Fest.
Oh, you're playing with Joel Elliott.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. He was just in on my other podcast. Joel's a good dude. Yeah.
Jumpin' Joel Flash.
Yeah, Jumpin' Joel Flash.
Yeah,
man.
he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. Great guy.
Very entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wish you guys nothing but the best when it comes to Hearts and Minds. I feel very close to all 4 of you, and I can't wait to see success in the future. I can't wait to hear your new tunes.
Sweet.
And say hi to the boys for me next time you see them.
I will.
Okay,
absolutely
cool.
will.
Let's play one more Hearts and Minds song from this era, and then we're going to get into my rapid question period.
All right.
And then we're going to touch on your newest project, and maybe a little bit about the student and the teacher aspect of things.
Sure.
Okay, so what do you want to hear?
Let's hear from the current record we just released a few months back. It's called The Dark Season. It's available on Spotify and all the other digital streaming services. Let's listen to, I don't know, maybe A Little While Longer.
Very good. This is A Little While Longer from Hearts and Minds. So that was A Little While Longer by local band Hearts and Minds. I have Jay Watts in the studio, and I guess Hearts and Minds, we talked a great deal about it, very informative, even stuff that I didn't know about, which is why I do these things, just to find out more stuff that you think you know, you don't know.
Cool.
Lets you rehash the past and,
Yep.
follow more stuff. Now, before we get to your latest project, you've been working at the School of Rock for quite some time.
Yeah, man.
And you've also been back at school for music. So you're the teacher-student right now. So how's that all working out for you?
It's been a wild ride. I guess when I turned 30, I hit my 1/3 life crisis, I guess. Wasn't quite my midlife crisis, but roughly a third, I think. And, I was working a shitty day job, working construction retail, and it just sucked. It was miserable. Playing in rock bands and stuff, which I loved. Music is something that I've loved for a long time. And when I hit 30, in that 30th year, you're just sitting there reflecting, like, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? This music thing, I don't know if I've got the energy to, like, keep trying to, quote unquote, make it, just like the relentless touring and all that work that you got to put in. And, I was just kind of, I don't know if running out of gas is the right word, but I just didn't know if I had, like, 10 years of touring in me. So I was like, what am I going to do? I can't work this shitty retail job forever. So
Sure.
I sat down with my wife, Mireille. She's awesome. Sat down with her. Yeah, shout out to her. And, just kind of talked about it. And I did a lot of soul searching and a lot of thinking and decided to take the two things that I like doing, one of which is music. The other is helping people. One part of my job that I really enjoyed working in the construction industry is helping people kind of design and build and learn how to do all these projects that they didn't think that they could do. So basically teaching people like how to do different projects and how to do different things they didn't think they could do. So smash those two things together and boom, I was like, well, there it is. I'm going to go back to university at 31 at this point. I'm going to go back to university. Well, go back. I'd never been there. Flunked out of college, for God's sake. And go to university as a mature student and try and become a music teacher, like a high school music teacher. I had never been, at that point, I'd never been in a music class at all. I'm completely self-taught, as I'm sure you are as well. Completely self-taught,
I am self-taught, but my teacher sucked.
Fair enough. I never had a lesson in my life. I'd never been in a music class, no less a high school music class, high school band, any of that kind of stuff. I was never in any of that. I didn't really get into playing music until after high school, playing drums or what have you. So the idea of becoming a music teacher was kind of terrifying because now all of a sudden I had to learn all this music theory shit, which is basically like trying to learn a new entire language. It was bonkers. So I went to school. First day was shocking because I'm 31, beard, big, fat, grumpy old white dude, and walk into the school and there's like these 17-year-old kids talking about Pokemon cards or something. And I walk into these lecture halls with these like
Culture shock, eh?
pubescent teenagers, and I'm just like, oh my God.
You
What
could have
am I
been
doing here?
I don't advocate this, but you could have been a good bully.
Yeah.
Move, kid.
I'm pretty sure they all thought I was the professor before the professor walked in. And
Security.
Many of my professors were younger than me, which was interesting. But anyway, I went to school, Ottawa University, a Bachelor of Arts with a specialization in music, and my minor was in history.
Are you done now?
I graduated. I got my degree last year. So I graduated somehow, managed to finish it. I graduated cum laude, which is like, it kind of always comes out of me like Arnold. I don't know why. Cum laude. Yeah, exactly. So that's, decent grades, and I managed to succeed. And now I'm in Teachers College.
Well, that's awesome, man. Good for you.
Yeah, Teachers College is 2 years. I'm, part of the way through my first year, so I got another year after this.
Cool, man.
And then I'll be out in the world teaching your kids.
And you started when you're 31.
Yeah.
So, hey, people out there, you can go back and do it.
Yeah, that you're never too young. I had
Because
to...
you're north of 35 now, are you not?
Yeah, north.
We
yeah.
won't go too
No,
detailed here.
They can
but
do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but with the whole music thing, like, I was going to school. The music program at Ottawa U is like an audition to get in, like a legitimate, you got to be amazing at your instrument to get in. I got in as a mature student, so there was a couple loopholes for me, thank goodness. Because when I started university, I had never seen sheet music. Like I didn't know what a music note, what the different kinds of music notes were, and what they meant. None of that. I'd never ever experienced anything like that.
Do you now?
Yeah. So it was just like, the first year, second year, basically I'd have to do 2 or 3 hours of homework before starting my homework because I had to just figure out what the hell it was asking me to do.
Sure.
Like just trying to research and watching hours of YouTube videos and music theory cheat websites, just to try and help find little tricks and tips and stuff. It was bonkers.
Isn't that funny though? Like you play music your whole life basically.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. And then all of a sudden you sit down and they say, no, this is music. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. It's a very classically oriented program. Like it's all symphony music and classical music out of Ottawa University.
That's crazy.
I ended up, because I couldn't read music, I couldn't specialize in an instrument. Even though I'm a drummer, I couldn't be a percussionist because you need to be able to read music because you play like xylophones and stuff, which are basically pianos you hit with sticks. So you need to be able to read all the music in order to play that. So I couldn't do that. So I ended up pursuing more the voice stream, like vocals. So I did a bunch of choir stuff and all kinds of singing. So like even though I'm a seasoned quote unquote rock drummer, I ended up singing in the Calixa Lavallée Choir on the NAC stage, singing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony from memory.
Well, shit.
Yeah, so just getting up there, in a tuxedo and doing the whole NAC choir boy kind of a thing. And
accomplished? Do you feel not
Yeah.
accomplished? What's the word I'm looking for? When you're like,
yeah, I mean, it was a huge
that was like a fulfilling thing. Yeah, it was an accomplishment.
it's
Like,
an
yeah,
accomplishment.
Yeah.
I mean, to go to start university, with all these kids that have been taking music for 4, 5, 6, 10 years since they were kids. They've been taking music and learning music theory and doing all this kind of stuff. And somehow being able to graduate in, the top-ish of the class is a pretty exceptional feat. So I definitely feel like I accomplished something there.
Well, you did, and I'm fucking proud of you, man.
I was
Way to go.
never book smart. I was dumb as a post when it came to like
Oh, I know.
Oh.
Wait, shit. I'm sorry.
oh, I know. Yeah.
No, you've always been a fucking pretty bright dude.
Yeah, I was never book smart. Like reading for me is basically a sleeping pill. I get like 3 lines into a book and I fall asleep.
Yeah, well.
So trying to put myself through school, especially like history being my minor, there's a lot of reading in history. It was definitely a challenge, but it was a means to an end, and becoming a teacher is something that is really important to me. So
That's awesome, man. But
Yeah.
you were already teaching music, sort of.
yeah, well that happened in like I think it was second year university. This music school was being built like at the end of my street. It was just geographically right there. It was amazing. And I mean, everybody knows School of Rock, the movie with Jack Black. A wonderful movie, and this School of Rock like legitimately is kind of that vein. In fact, the movie was based on the School of Rock music school franchise, which is something that has been in the States for 20 years. And then the movie came out kind of based on that school and their teaching principles and philosophies and stuff. And one of them was opening up here in Ottawa, in Orleans, out on St. Joseph, and I would walk by it as they were building it, and they had a sign like "Coming soon, School of Rock," apply today. And I still felt like a bit of an imposter, even though I'd been a rock musician for 15 years at that point or whatever it was. I was still kind of figuring out how to read music, and I didn't know how technical they wanted me to be because I'd never had a drum lesson. I don't know what the hell a drum lesson is supposed to be like.
You fake it till you make it, right?
Well, that's been the story of my life.
Well, yeah.
And here we are. So anyway, I applied and went in for my audition, and I spent hours trying to think about my audition song. I'm like, what song can I play that's going to just blow them away with my drumming? And I thought, I'm just going through all the greatest drummers and thinking like, okay, Rush, I'll do some Neil Peart. And I was just like, I can't do justice to Rush. That's bonkers. I don't have time.
Not enough drums.
Not enough drums, exactly. I need like 17 more pieces. I usually play on like a 4-piece, so yeah, it was a little outside my reach. So then I was like, okay, Phil Collins, and Phil's the man. But I settled on Black Betty by Ram Jam.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that was my drum audition song for School of Rock. It's a tough song to drum. Those drummers out there, if you want a little bit of a hard nugget to try and crack and teach yourself, learn that song. It's a good one. It was a lot of fun to learn.
And obviously you nailed it.
Yeah. So they just finished renovations, and when I went in for my audition, like all kinds of dust and shit was falling off the ceiling as I'm playing the drums because they were like sanding drywall. It was pretty great.
That's rock and roll, baby.
Rock and roll. Felt like a Janet Jackson music video.
And
or
you've
something.
been there for what, 4 years now? 5 years? 5
Yeah,
years?
4 years.
And
4
you've taught an endless line of people, like
Yeah.
from scratch.
yeah.
People walk in just wide-eyed and nervous, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, they're playing gigs at bars, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So what School of Rock does is they take people. They got programs for all ages. If you're 2 years old up to 120, whatever, however old people live these days. There's no limit. There's programs for everybody, and they teach you. It's not just arbitrary lessons where you walk in and you learn something that week, a few chords and a guitar, and then you go home and you're supposed to practice and you never do, and then you come back a week later and you're supposed to continue. It's not like that at the School of Rock. You have your lessons, but then you've got band practice. You're put together into like a performance group or a band or something, and you have to rehearse every week, and you've got your lessons. So you just add those two things together, and the students progress exponentially faster.
I'm starting my own School of Rock down here in Southwood Studios.
Nice.
For 7 easy payments of $1,200. I will show you. I will show you how to play guitar.
We actually, you came out one time as like our punk rock veteran to come out one time and instill a little bit of knowledge into the kids who were doing.
I thought those kids were gonna fucking beat me up.
Who were doing a punk rock season.
I'm scared of those fucking teenagers these days.
It was great having you in there. They thought you were great. Thought you were great. But yeah, we put on shows for our teen performance group. We put on shows once every 3 months or so. Right now, I'm also one of the show directors. So my performance group actually coming up this coming Sunday, the 11th, at Brass Monkey. They're going to be putting on their season-ending concert for my group. It's called Garage Band Revival. It's basically everything from, it's quite eclectic. It's like the Staves, which are this like amazing 3-piece female trio, to like Death from Above 1979.
Awesome,
It's like
man.
such a weird variety.
That's wicked.
So yeah, that's what I get to do for a living.
Well, I think that's a good place for you to be too. Not just being like the drummer, but being the teacher or someone the kids or just adults or anybody can go to. Because I know in our circle, you're a very solid voice of reason. You know what I mean? You can always go to you for sound advice. You're very straightforward. You're very logical and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think as a teacher, you're going to be very successful.
Thanks, man.
And I think hopefully those fucking kids out there, well, they'll be like, yay, we got this guy.
Yeah, well, you know,
So,
being a big burly dude with tattoos and a beard, the kids tend to.
yeah, it's like you're a cool dude already, right? So
yeah. I had a rough time in high school. Not going to get into it, but I'm just hoping that I can make it a little less rough for the kids when I get out there.
Well, you showed them.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to touch on your newest project, and then we're going to get into the question period. Let's talk about Bytown Lights.
Bytown Lights. Bytown Lights. Yeah. Right now, for about a little over a year, I guess, me and some of the instructors from School of Rock got together and decided to start doing a cover thing. You know, being in an original rock band is amazing and wonderful for thousands of ways that we don't have time to get into, but being in a cover band can be a lot of fun too. And in the music industry, being in a cover band, a good cover band, can be a little bit more financially rewarding than being in an original rock band.
Of course.
So it's important to be able to do both if you want to try and make a living at music. And I mean, right now, for my entire university and still to this day, I have made my living 100% off of music, whether it be working at School of Rock or playing gigs or doing some drumline drumming with the Hitman drummers. I've been really blessed through all of that to not have to work at like some burger joint flipping burgers and doing something that I hate to make money.
Yeah, man. You're successful. That's the dream, and you're living it.
Absolutely.
So
I have to wear a lot of different hats, but I love it. I love doing it. So when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So I met these guys and girl at School of Rock. Stephanie Veneri, she's the lead vocalist. She's the main vocal instructor at School of Rock. Scott Norris, he's a phenomenal guitar player. Plays in a local hardcore band, Horcrux.
ridiculous guitar player.
Just a ridiculous guitar
Makes me
player.
upset.
Yeah, it's basically effortless. He plays every one of our covers, like note for note. It's just ludicrous. And then we've got Mick, who also teaches at School of Rock now. Got him in there. He teaches there. He's the keyboardist for Hearts and Minds. So he does that. He even plays a little bit of guitar in this band, which is pretty cool. A little different for him. And the original bass player, Rick, who's one of the co-owners with Rick Van Tour, He's a co-owner with Andy Ives of School of Rock. He was the original bass player. I don't know what it is. It's like a theme with bass players, but they only last so long and then they need to go away.
They're like the Spinal Tap drummers. They explode.
Pretty much. So, yeah, Rick had to take a step back and focus on other things, which is completely fine, and we still love him to death. He's our boss. Yay, Rick. And, we ended up bringing in another one of the instructors who's actually a drum instructor. His name is Mike, and I hope I get your last name right, Gambardino. We just call him Mike G. He's an exceptional drummer, graduate from the Carleton University music program, but he plays bass in our band, and he is just such a great bass player. It's so much fun to have him. And yeah.
And the reception has been amazing.
Yeah, it's been great.
Based on the show you just played, which I couldn't even get in. The fuck?
I feel so bad.
As you should.
We played a gig at Live on Elgin, a great little venue here in the city. Unfortunately, it only holds about 90 people. And, with fire code and everything else, we have to be very, very strict on capacity. And 90 people, it's a hard 90. It can't be 91. So because of that, we expected it to be a successful show, but we didn't expect it to be as much of a sellout as it was. So next time we're going to put things in place to fix that. If we play it Live on Elgin, we might do 2 gigs, 2 shows, or just find a bigger venue. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, Mike, Ohio couldn't even get in.
Couldn't even get the fuck in.
Couldn't even get in. He showed up a little bit late, and the place was already jam-packed. There was a lineup going down the stairs. He was like halfway up the stairs, and he's like, can you pull some strings for me? I'm like,
I got in there, and I stood there
yep.
for a painstaking 4.5 minutes before I pulled the plug and said, fuck this.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
I'm out. I'm not standing on these stairs anymore.
I wanted to come and support you. I came to the last show, and it was great. And I didn't think it'd be as busy as it was. I understand why. It was capacity. It's the way it goes. And I'm fucking nobody, so it's not like I should have got in anyway.
My own sister, I couldn't even get her in.
See, that sucks. You shouldn't feel bad about me. You should feel bad about that, though.
I feel bad about both.
You should. Okay.
I do.
That's awesome, man. I wish you nothing but the best for Bytown Lights.
Yeah. So hey, if anybody needs a wedding band or a corporate band or something, bytownlights.com.
Yeah, Jay needs a new pair of shoes.
I sure do.
Okay, so we covered a lot in the last 2 episodes and 2 hours of our sitting down and talking. I have a segment on Ego and Vice, which I ask every guest that comes in. It is my rapid question period.
Oh boy.
Would you like to participate?
Yes.
Okay.
Questions and answers, honesty lies. Yes, no, you can't, but you can and you know why.
Shit, you must be fucking, man. Like, what's he talking about?
Any questions?
Okay, these are my rapid questions. Are you ready?
Go.
All right. What's your biggest musical influence?
Dave Grohl.
Okay. What is the first record you ever bought with your own money? Record, tape, CD.
I think I got these at the same time. One of them was Aerosmith's Get a Grip, the one with like the cow on the front.
The cow with the pierced udder?
Yeah.
Ah, very good.
And then Dookie, Green Day.
The last music you listened to today?
Donovan Woods.
Cool. What is your guilty pleasure music?
Well, it's not even guilty. I just hip-hop. Love listening to like 90s and early 2000s hip-hop.
I got to change that question because there's no shame in liking what you like.
No.
Like what you like.
Yep.
If people think it's stupid, they're stupid because if it moves you, it's good music. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
What's your favorite song?
We'll come back to that one. I gotta chew on that for a sec.
Okay. What's your favorite band?
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. Okay. Next question. What is the first concert or show you ever saw, like live?
This like boy band back in I think it was the early 90s called All For One.
Ah.
They had this song called I Swear.
And I swear at the moon. I know that
That's
song.
the one. That was my first ever like real concert. I was about to say rock show, but it wasn't.
Okay. What's the last concert or show you saw?
I guess the last show that I watched would have been Cast and Cadence's EP release last weekend, and I've played a couple shows since, but I was on stage.
Very good. And in the history of your life, what was the best show or concert you ever saw?
Ever saw?
Yeah. Or that you remember that you can say that was one of the best show I've ever seen.
Well,
Or one of them. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's a common theme, but I saw Foo Fighters when they were touring maybe 6-7 years ago. They played at Scotiabank Place or whatever it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
That was the record where they had like one side was all electric and then the other
Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace.
Yeah, the other side was the acoustic, and halfway through the show that acoustic stage just kind of got lowered from like the other side of the stadium, and they like all ran down the giant catwalk and did like a whole acoustic set and then went back to the rock set. It was an incredible show.
Awesome. Cool. Can you tell us a quick funny show story?
Can I? I have many. A funny show story. I want to tell something from the Our Mistake days. I'm just trying to think of the best one because there's so many. One story. All right, let's do the.
Or how about just a funny band story?
Okay, well, no, I'll tell a story about Adam. I'll tell a story about Adam.
God damn.
So Our Mistake, we played a show in Toronto, and as some of you may or may not know, when Toronto gets more than like 1.5 centimeters of snow, the whole city shuts down.
They call in the army.
They call in the army. So
sakes.
we were doing a tour, or at least a jaunt down the 401, whatever you want to call it, and I think it was like, I don't know, November, maybe early December. Like it wasn't February. There wasn't snow on the ground yet.
Yeah.
So we didn't have winter tires on our tour vehicle at the time, and we played the show in Toronto, and our bass player met up with a female friend of his and at the show, and he wanted to go out like after the show.
He bailed on us.
He bailed on us. He wanted to go and spend the night with her. So he bailed on us, and we were a little miffed. We were like, we're a band. We're here to do our thing, and
because me and Adam got along so well anyway.
Yeah. So he decided to basically bail on us. He ditched us to go and have an evening with his lady friend. So we drive. We didn't want to pay like top dollar Toronto money for our hotel accommodations, so we drove to like, where was it, Ajax or something? Where did we go?
Some fucking outskirt, Whitby or Ajax or the Schwa even maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe Schwa. Anyway, we found like a Motel 6.
Roadside
Motel 6 or whatever, just off the highway, heading out of Toronto, heading back towards Ottawa. And get a room, and Adam was supposed to come back that night, but he didn't. I don't think he came back that night.
No, he didn't. And we were supposed to leave in the morning.
And we woke up, and there was like, I don't know, 15 centimeters of snow on the ground. So we were faguckered. Like, we could not leave. We didn't have winter tires. So we were, unfortunately, at the same level as Torontonians with their, like, they shut the city down after like a tiny snowfall. We were trapped. We couldn't drive.
We were like stranded in like Ajax for like 3 fucking days.
It was kind of brutal. And because he didn't come home that night, and because we were just bored and going stir crazy, being stuck in like a shut down Toronto suburb, we grabbed all this guy's underwear and socks, and we soaked them, like just soaked them in the sink. They were sopping wet, and then we very gingerly laid them out in layers like a millefeuille dessert in the freezer.
In the fucking mini fridge.
The mini fridge freezer of the bar or of the hotel, and we just left them in there. And then we didn't say anything. We took pictures of ourselves doing it too. We took pictures of ourselves, soaking his underwear, putting it in the freezer. Like the photo montage at the end of the Hangover movies.
Yeah,
it was exactly like that.
Yeah,
we're all posing and smiling and laughing. He comes home, back to the hotel.
Next day,
whatever.
2 days later,
2 days later,
the fuck it was.
And he's like, "Oh, I need a shower. I've been doing so much of the sex. I need showers." And so he jumps in for a shower, gets out of the shower, goes looking for his underwear, can't find his underwear anywhere. We're laughing, we're roaring, and we're like doing the hot cold game as he's moving around the hotel room trying to find his skitch. And then eventually he finds like all of his undergarments in the freezer. They were frozen solid.
I remember him holding it up, and it's like normally it would just flop over his hand, but it was like
standing up,
stiff as a fucking
yeah. If you hit it too hard against the table, it would have shattered like the Terminator or whatever, just into a million pieces. He was so pissed.
He was pissed.
He was very, very angry,
and that pleased me.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. That was a good time.
And I don't want to take credit for that story, but I'm going to take credit for that story because I'm pretty sure it was my idea.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway,
I don't remember.
doesn't matter.
That's just one of many hilarious stories that we could get into, I'm sure.
Okay, cool. If you could meet one person, who would it be?
I'd say, like, if I could hang out with anybody alive or dead, I'd probably say Dave Grohl.
Cool. You know what? I'm going to change that question while we're on the podcast. I'm going to be like, who would you like to have a beer with? Anybody.
Yeah.
All right, that's changed.
Cool.
I'll remember that.
There you go.
All right, so that is the end of the question and answer period with Mr. J. Watts. That's the end of part 2 of the podcast. Plug some of your stuff. Where can people find you? Where can they find your bands? Where can they get a hold of your music?
Sure. So Hearts and Minds, you can just look us up on whatever social media you use, at Hearts and Minds. But remember, it's landmines, not minds as in like your head. Bytownlights.com. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook as well. Cover band. And School of Rock, if you're interested in playing music, if you haven't played in a while, there's all kinds of adult programs as well as teen programs, and like I said, even for the younger kids too. So if you're like a perturbed suburban dad sitting there listening to this, check out School of Rock. It's a great avenue for either you or your kids to find a love for rock.
Very good. Thank you so much for coming out.
No problem, man. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a great time. I'd love to have you back on in the future. We'll
Done.
shoot the shit some more, tell some more fucking frozen underwear stories.
Done. I think we should just get a few pops into us and just tell stories for an hour.
Absolutely. And to anyone listening, for those people out there who are musicians out there, you can let Jay be an example to you that you can play music for a living. You can do it because you love it, and you can have your shit together and be a good guy.
Yep.
And still do all these things.
Thanks, man.
And that's the example you set for me.
Oh,
So,
I appreciate that. Thanks.
again, thank you so much, and we will see you down the road.
Ciao. Thanks.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.